My father raised his fist like he did my entire childhood, but this time I didn't flinch, told him to go ahead and see what happens, and watch the man who terrorized me for 29 years realize I wasn't afraid anymore. Now my family says I'm the one tearing everything apart. My father pulled his fist back tonight like he'd done countless times throughout my childhood, but this time, for the first time in 29 years, I didn't flinch, and as I watched his arm shake with the effort of holding back, I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before, fear that I might hit him back. He didn't swing. Just stood there with his fist clenched, breathing hard, face red, while I stared at him calmly and said, "Go ahead. See what happens." He lowered his arm. Stepped back. Left the room without a word. And I stood there in my childhood kitchen, hands steady, heart pounding, realizing that the man who'd terrorized me my entire life was just a sad, angry old man who'd only ever had power because I gave it to him. This isn't a story about revenge or triumph. This is about the moment you finally see your cruelty are clearly, not as the monster they seemed when you were small and powerless, but as the pathetic, broken person they actually are, and realize that the fear they planted in you was never about their strength, but about your own belief in your weakness. My father's name is Richard. He's 63. Retired mechanic. Been married to my mother for 35 years. Has 3 kids, me, Daniel, 29, my sister Emily, 26, and my brother Josh, 23. He's been a mean person my entire life. Not always physically violent, though there was plenty of that when we were kids, but consistently cruel, belittling, and intimidating. The physical stuff stopped when I was around 15. Not because he changed, but because I got big enough that hitting me became slightly riskier. He switched to other tactics, verbal cruelty, intimidation, psychological warfare. But the threat of violence was always there. The implicit understanding that if he wanted to, he could upset me. That he was stronger, meaner, more willing to escalate. That I should be afraid. And I was afraid. For 29 years, I was afraid of my father. Until tonight. Let me back up and give context on what our relationship has been like. As a kid, my father was unpredictable. Some days he'd be fine, not warm or affectionate, but tolerable. Other days, anything could set him off. A bad day at work. A perceived slight. Me being too loud, too quiet, too anything. When he got angry, he'd yell. Throw things. Break stuff. And sometimes, he'd hit. Not in a disciplinary spanking way. In a grab you by the arm and shake you way. A shove you into a wall way. A slap you across the face when you talk back way. My mother would try to intervene sometimes, but mostly she'd retreat. Tell us later that we needed to not provoke him. That he was under a lot of stress. That we needed to be more careful. Classic enabling behavior. But as a kid, I didn't have language for that. I just knew that my father was scary and my mother wouldn't protect me from him. Emily and Josh got it too, but I got it worst. Oldest child. The one he seemed to resent most. The one who reminded him of his own failures, maybe. I don't know. I've never understood his particular hatred for me. As I got older, the physical cruelty lessened but the emotional cruelty intensified. He'd mock my interests. You're reading again? What are you, a girl? He'd criticize my appearance. You're getting fat. No wonder you can't get a girlfriend. He'd undermine my accomplishments. You got a B+? I guess you're just not that smart. When I got into a good college, he said, don't get too cocky. College doesn't mean you're better than everyone else. When I graduated, he said, now you have to actually do something with that fancy degree. That's the hard part. When I got a good job, he said, must be nice to sit in an office all day. Real men work with their hands. Nothing was ever good enough. Nothing I did earned his approval or respect. And the message was always the same, you're weak. You're soft. You're not a real man. For most of my 20s, I limited contact with him. Saw my parents maybe once a month. Kept visits short. Gray rocked him, gave minimal responses, didn't engage with his provocations. My siblings did the same. We'd compare notes after family gatherings. Dad was in rare form today. Did you hear what he said about Emily's job? He's getting worse. My mother would call and guilt us. Your father misses you. You should visit more. He's not getting any younger. But we all knew the truth, he didn't miss us. He missed having targets. About 6 months ago, my mother was diagnosed with early-stage upper body cancer. Treatable, good prognosis, but scary. She asked us to be around more. Help with appointments. Support her through treatment. And because we love our mother, we agreed. Which meant being around our father more. At first, he was on his best behavior. Almost pleasant. I think he was scared about my mom and it softened him temporarily. But as her treatment progressed and she got better, he reverted to form. Started making comments again. Started picking fights. Started being his usual cruel self. A few weeks ago, he made a comment about Emily's weight. She's been stress eating during mom's cancer treatment, which is completely understandable. But Dad said, you better watch it or you're going to end up huge like your Aunt Carol. Emily left the room crying. I confronted him. That was unnecessary and cruel. I'm just being honest. She's gained weight. She's stressed about mom. We all are. Maybe be supportive instead of critical. Oh, here we go. Always so sensitive. I can't say anything without you getting offended. You can say things. You choose to say upset fool things. That's different. If she can't handle honesty, that's her problem. It's not honesty. It's cruelty disguised as honesty. There's a difference. He stood up, got in my face. Old intimidation tactic. You calling me cruel? I felt that old fear rising. The instinct to back down. To apologize. To make myself smaller. But I didn't. Yes. You're cruel to your children. You always have been. Watch your mouth. Or what? You'll hit me? We're not kids anymore, Dad. He stepped closer. I could feel his breath. See the anger in his eyes. You think you're tough now? Think because you got an office job you're better than me? I think I'm too old to be afraid of you anymore. You should be afraid. But I'm not. We stared at each other. Finally, he backed off. Get out of my house. Gladly. That was 3 weeks ago. I didn't visit after that. Emily and Josh handled mom's appointments. I texted mom regularly but avoided the house. Then tonight, mom asked me to come over. Dad was out, she said. She wanted to talk. I went. We talked about her treatment, she's doing well, nearly done with chemo. We talked about Christmas plans. Normal stuff. Then I heard the front door. Dad was home early. He came into the kitchen, saw me, stopped. What's he doing here? I invited him, Mom said. This is his home too. Not anymore, it's not. Not after what he said to me. Dad, I said you're cruel to your kids. That's just factual. Watch it. Or what? Or you'll regret it. Will I? What exactly are you going to do? He stepped toward me. Mom put her hand on his arm. Richard, don't. He shook her off. Got right up close to me. We're about the same height now, I'm 6 feet, he's maybe 6'1". When I was a kid, he seemed huge. Now we're eye to eye. You've got a real mouth on you these days, he said. I've always had it. I just used to be too scared to use it. You should still be scared. But I'm not. That's the thing you don't seem to get. I'm not scared of you anymore. Maybe you should be. And that's when he pulled his fist back. Old gesture. The one he'd used hundreds of times to make me flinch, to make me cower, to remind me he could upset me if he wanted. Except this time, I didn't flinch. I just looked at him. Calm. Steady. And said, go ahead. See what happens. His arm shook. His face was red. Veins bulging in his neck. But the fist didn't come forward. Because for the first time in our relationship, he was actually considering what would happen if he hit me. And he realized, I might hit back. I'm 29. In decent shape. Not particularly violent, but capable. And I wasn't a scared kid anymore. I was an over 18 man who'd had enough. If he hit me, I'd defend myself. And he wasn't sure he'd win. More than that, he wasn't sure he wanted to find out. So he lowered his fist. Stepped back. And without a word, turned and left the room. My mother stood there, shaking. Daniel. I didn't do anything wrong, Mom. You provoked him. I stood up to him. That's not the same thing. He could have upset you. But he didn't. Because he knew I'd upset him back. And he's not used to that. He's your father. He's a mean person. And bullies only have power when their victims are afraid. I'm not afraid anymore. She started crying. I don't want this family to fall apart. It's been broken for 29 years, Mom. You just didn't want to see it. I left. Drove home. Sat in my apartment trying to process what had happened. For 29 years, my father had ruled through fear. Through the implicit threat that he was bigger, stronger, more dangerous than me. But tonight, that dynamic shattered. Because I called his bluff. And he realized he couldn't follow through without consequences. I didn't hear from my father after that night. But I heard from everyone else. My mother called the next day. Your father is very upset. I imagine he is. You humiliated him in his own home. I stood up to him. If that's uncomfortable, maybe he should examine why. He's saying you pressured him. I didn't raise concern, him. I told him to go ahead and hit me and see what happens. That's not a threat. That's a consequence. He's your father, Daniel. You owe him respect. Respect is earned. What has he done to earn my respect? She didn't have an answer. Emily called. I heard what happened. Are you okay? I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. Mom says Dad's really angry. Good. Let him be angry. I'm done being scared of his anger. What if he tries to actually upset you? He won't. Because he knows I'll defend myself. That's the whole point. He only has power when we're too afraid to fight back. I can't believe you stood up to him like that. Someone had to. What's going to happen now? I don't know. But I'm not backing down. Not anymore. Josh called. Dude, Mom is freaking out. What did you do? I explained the situation. Holy mess. You really told him to hit you? I called his bluff. He's been intimidating violence for decades. I dared him to actually do it. And he backed down? He backed down. That's insane. I've never seen anyone stand up to him like that. Because we've all been too scared. But he's just an angry old man. He only seems powerful because we believed he was. What if he comes after you? He won't. He's a coward. Cowards don't fight people who fight back. My uncle, my dad's brother, called. Your father called me. Says you pressured him. That's not what happened. He says you told him to hit you. I dared him too. After he pulled his fist back to intimidate me. I called his bluff. That's disrespectful. What's disrespectful is a grown man trying to intimidate his over 18 son with threats of violence. He's been under a lot of stress with your mother's cancer. Don't excuse his behavior with stress. He's been like this my entire life. Mom's cancer didn't make him a mean person. He's always been a mean person. He's family. So am I. Where's the concern for me? For the son who's been dealing with his cruelty for 29 years? Silence. That's what I thought, I said, and hung up. The family was circling the wagons around my father. Protecting him. Making excuses for him. Framing me as the aggressor. Classic dynamic. The crueltier gets protected. The victim who finally stands up gets vilified. But I didn't care. Because something had shifted in me that night in the kitchen. I'd seen my father clearly for the first time. Not as the terrifying figure of my childhood. Not as the man who could upset me if he wanted. But as a sad, weak old man whose only power came from intimidation. And once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. A week after the incident, my father texted me. First direct communication since that night. We need to talk. About what? About what happened. And about your attitude. My attitude is fine. Yours is the problem. I'm your father. You don't talk to me like that. I'll talk to you however you deserve to be talked to. You want respect? Start acting respectable. You're being a disrespectful punk. And you're being an abusive mean person. Which is worse. No response for 10 minutes. Then. I want you to apologize for what you said. No. Excuse me? No. I won't apologize for telling the truth. You're cruel to your children. You've been cruel to us our entire lives. I won't apologize for finally saying it out loud. If you don't apologize, you're not welcome at family gatherings. That's fine with me. You'd really choose this over family? You chose being a mean person over being a good father. Don't lecture me about choices. I did the best I could. Your best was terrible. That's the point. You don't know what it was like. Raising kids. Providing for a family. The pressure. Millions of people raise kids without being abusive. The pressure isn't an excuse. I never cruelty to you. You hit us. You screamed at us. You made us afraid in our own home. That's cruelty. I disciplined you. There's a difference. No, there isn't. Not the way you did it. Mom made her choice. She chose to stay with him. To enable him. We're making our choice now. Josh agreed. I'm done walking on eggshells around him. Done being afraid. If you can stand up to him, so can we. The three of us made plans to have Christmas together. Just us. No parents. No drama. Just three siblings who'd survived the same abusive household trying to create something healthier. My father sent me one more text before Christmas. You're tearing this family apart. I responded, you tore this family apart 29 years ago when you decided being a mean person was more important than being a father. I'm just finally admitting it. He didn't respond. My father tried to punch me for the first time in 14 years, and what I learned is that bullies only have power when you believe in their strength, that the moment you call their bluff they reveal themselves to be weak, pathetic people who've been hiding behind intimidation their entire lives, and that breaking free from cruelty often means losing the people who enabled them, but gaining yourself in the process. I don't know what the future holds with my father. Maybe he'll eventually apologize. Maybe he'll die angry that his children dared to stand up to him. Maybe we'll find some kind of uneasy peace. But what I know is this, I'm not afraid of him anymore. I saw through the illusion of his power. And I can't go back to being the scared kid I was. My siblings and I had Christmas together. It was peaceful. Joyful, even. No walking on eggshells. No anticipating outbursts. Just three people who loved each other having a good day. My mother was heartbroken. Spent Christmas with just my father. Called afterward to guilt us. You've broken your father's heart. His heart broke a long time ago, I told her. That's why he became what he became. But that's his responsibility to fix, not ours to manage. He's not going to change. I know. That's why we're protecting ourselves. I miss you. You can see us anytime. Without him. But we're not subjecting ourselves to his cruelty anymore. He's not abusive. Mom. Stop. We both know he is. You've known for 35 years. You just didn't want to admit it because admitting it meant you'd have to leave. And you weren't willing to do that. I understand that. But we're allowed to make a different choice. She cried. I felt bad for her. But I also knew, her pain was the consequence of her choices, not mine. I'm 29 years old. I finally stood up to my father. And in doing so, I lost the family I thought I had. But I gained something more important, myself. My dignity. My power. My freedom from fear. My father is just a sad, weak old man. And I'm not afraid of him anymore. That's worth everything I lost. You're remembering it worse than it was. I'm remembering it exactly as it was. And I'm done pretending it was anything other than what it was. He stopped responding. I didn't expect an apology. Men like my father don't apologize. They don't admit fault. They just get angry that their victims finally fought back. I talked to my therapist about it. I've been in therapy for 3 years, working through childhood trauma. This incident felt like a breakthrough. How do you feel about what happened? She asked. Powerful. For the first time in my life, I feel powerful around my father. Because you stood up to him? Because I saw him clearly. He's not this big scary figure. He's just a mean old man who's gotten away with being mean because no one calls him on it. And now you're calling him on it. Yes. How does that feel? Terrifying and freeing at the same time. What's terrifying about it? The unknown. I don't know what happens next. I don't know if he'll escalate. I don't know if my family will choose sides. I don't know if I'll lose relationships over this. And what's freeing? I don't have to be afraid anymore. I spent 29 years afraid of my father. Afraid of his anger. His violence. His disapproval. And now I'm not. That fear is gone. What replaced it? Clarity. I see him for what he is. And he's not worth being afraid of. She smiled. That's growth. Christmas was approaching. My mother called to discuss plans. Your father wants to know if you're coming to Christmas. Is he going to apologize? For what? For trying to hit me. For being abusive my entire life. For any of it. He doesn't think he did anything wrong. Then no, I'm not coming. Daniel, it's Christmas. Family should be together. Family should treat each other with respect. He doesn't. So I won't be there. You're going to miss Christmas because of one argument? It wasn't one argument. It was 29 years of cruelty culminating in one moment where I finally stood up for myself. He's upset that you're not coming. He's not upset. He's angry that I won't submit anymore. There's a difference. Please reconsider. For me. Mom, I love you. But I can't keep subjecting myself to his cruelty just to make you comfortable. You chose to stay with him. I'm choosing to protect myself. He's not that bad. Yes, he is. You've just normalized it because acknowledging how bad he is would mean admitting you stayed with him anyway. She hung up on me. Emily and Josh both reached out. We're not going to Christmas either, Emily said. If you're not going, we're not going. We're done too. You don't have to do that, I said. We want to. You're right. He's been terrible to all of us. And we're tired of pretending otherwise. Mom's going to be devastated.